Hey guys, it's your girl Victoria Victron, Lady V V12. You already know. You're here with V Sports, and we are presenting a special bracket breakdown. We have our official NCAA March Madness Division One bracket. The bracket is sponsored by Reese's, so I thought it appropriate to have the little yachty Reese's Puffs with us today. And I wanted to give you guys a little behind the scenes about what it's like for me being both a sports and music journalist. Usually, when you're a beat reporter and committed to a field, you invest yourself in that field and you immerse yourself and follow all the everything. So for me, I started in sports and transitioned more to music, and I've always tried to follow sports what I can, but when it comes to things like filling out your March Madness bracket, it was hard, um, as I wasn't as immersed. So this I'm kind of gonna walk you through what my process is. I'm very grateful. I am working a little more in sports now, but it was recent, so I kind of haven't followed as much as I would have loved to, but this will be cool just to share with you guys. Anybody can fill out a bracket. You don't have to be a basketball expert. It's just kind of fun and quirky because you never know what's going to happen. It's called March Madness for a reason, and it's just fun. And especially this year with COVID, it's going to be even more different as there's just so many more factors to create different obstacles for teams. Duke is not even in it this year, so that's kind of wild. But let's get started. Let's break it down. So we have our first four games here at the top. And so these ones like really don't matter, but I still count them. There's little upsets here and there. So what I have is I have Drake winning. There's little fun things like Drake was the first artist to have 3 Hot 100 singles premiere at 1, 2, 3. So, let's give this school Drake, who hasn't won since the 70s. Let's give them a chance. So then what I do is I kind of go by each section and kind of fill it out like one at a time. The number one overall seed this year is Gonzaga. They are undefeated, and there has only been, I'm looking at my notes here, there's only been 7 teams ever who have gone all the way undefeated through the whole season. UCLA, of course, has done it 4 times with John Wooden. Gonzaga, I don't know how far they're gonna go, but I'll say they're gonna win that first game. Um, they have a play-in game, and then we have Oklahoma and Missouri. Oklahoma does have a player out due to COVID, but I'm still gonna give them the win over Missouri. And then we have Virginia and Ohio. Virginia is interesting because they are technically the defending champs still. Of course, we didn't have the tournament and the championship last year, so Virginia still holds that defending title. They're also an ACC school, so they're gonna go there. USC is next. They are playing, of course, I had Drake in the play-in. I'm gonna go for the upset here. I am in LA and there's a lot of USC people that are gonna be mad at me, but I'm gonna say that Drake's gonna win one more game. Just for fun, keep that keep that going. Then we have Kansas and Eastern Washington. Kansas is always good. Like, they have their great seasons and their good seasons, but especially growing up in Denver, Kansas just, it's a real thing. So Rock Chalk Jayhawk will have them beating Eastern Washington. Then we have Oregon versus Virginia Commonwealth. Oregon is doing really well this year. They have Pac-12 Player of the Year Chris Duarte on their team, so we're gonna have Oregon winning their first game. Now this is the fun part. Now we have Iowa versus Grand Canyon University. Grand Canyon actually is the only school from Arizona this year, which is interesting because Arizona Wildcats are usually at least in the tournament. They won it not too long ago. Arizona State obviously is a Pac-12 school. It's always in the mix. Neither of them made the tournament this year, so Grand Canyon is holding it down. And sometimes you just gotta go with things you love. Purple is my favorite color. They're a very purple school. So, I'm gonna toss in the upset here. I'm gonna say Grand Canyon beats Iowa just for fun. Creighton and Virginia, this one was a tough, tough battle. Um, I'm gonna say Creighton goes forward. Then we have Drake versus Kansas. Obviously, it will be fun to watch Drake win to make it into the second round, but I'm gonna say that Kansas just has the better team. Um, Grand Canyon, again, it was fun for them to have that one upset, but Oregon is going to make it to the Sweet 16. So then we have Gonzaga and Oregon. I'm going to say Gonzaga is going to go to the Final Four. They are scoring 90 points a game this year. That's a lot of points. This one I did have to think really hard about. When is Gonzaga going to lose? It's not yet. So that's the West bracket. We're going to move down here to the East bracket. Another number one seed is Michigan. I'm just gonna say that they win. I don't see the dramatic upset here yet. This one, Colorado and Georgetown, was the hardest one for me to decide because I think whoever wins this one is gonna go fairly deep, and it's two totally opposite reasons. CU is playing really strong. They're coming out of the Pac-12. They had a good season. They're playing hard. I'm from Denver, so we always kind of root for the hometown team. But Georgetown shocked everyone when they had their huge upset to win the Big East Championship. And of course, they're playing for John Thompson. They're holding down the legacy of so many Georgetown greats. Patrick Ewing, of course, is their coach. So this one was I don't know. Either one really could win and go deep, I think. At the end of the day, I went with CU because I just felt like Georgetown has the excitement of winning that tournament, but I just don't know if the momentum will continue to the actual tournament. So go Buffs. Florida State is going to play UNC Greensboro. Leonard Hamilton has built a great program with FSU. They have some good momentum. I can't stand FSU as a Cane, but we're going to give them this game. It makes sense. Then we have Texas and Abilene Christian. Texas led by Shaka Smart, who took VCU all the way to the Final Four, and he's just a really good leader. I see them doing well, so we're going to put Texas there. Uconn and Maryland. I root for Uconn. My favorite player is Shabazz Napier. Just kidding, even though he did great at Uconn too, he learned from Kemba Walker. So Uconn's not as great as they were then, but I see Uconn winning, at least that first game. Then we have Alabama and Iona, which is interesting because who coaches Iona? Rick Pitino, who's led lots of Louisville Cardinal teams in this big dance. It's interesting Iona is in this tournament, not Louisville this year. But I'm going to say that Alabama is the stronger team. Sorry, Rick. We're not going to get you there. So then I do think Michigan is going to advance. We're going to have them going. Of course, they have their glory days of the Fab Five. Please watch that documentary if you haven't. CU and FSU, I'm going to say CU is going to take that one. Like I was saying earlier, whether CU or Georgetown wins this, I think that's going to be a path right there. Uconn versus Bama, this one I had a hard time with because I do think Bama's probably the better team. But Uconn just they know how to play. So I'm going to give it to Uconn. That's a bit of an upset, but Um, we're gonna go with it. So then we have Michigan playing CU. I'm gonna take CU. It is an upset. The number one seed going down, but I just think CU has some good momentum. UT and Uconn, I think this is where Texas overpowers the legacy of Uconn. They're just hungry and they're coming to win. And I'm going to say that Texas then beats CU. Now we have Gonzaga playing Texas. And I don't see Gonzaga going all the way. Like they might. I saw some of the top analysts are saying they're going to go undefeated, they're going to make history, but I just think this year is going to be a wild card year. So I am going to say Texas, led by Shaka Smart, is going to go to the finals over Gonzaga. So now we're going to take it down to the south. We're going to go down south. We have the number one seed Baylor playing Hartford, another Connecticut school, but not Uconn. I'm going to say Baylor takes it. They're playing really strong. They're the fourth highest scored team in the country. And then we have Texas Tech and Utah State. I am actually going to go for the upset here because I think Utah State is just playing with good momentum. Texas Tech was in some big games this year, but we'll just they're not going to win this one. Then we have Ohio State and Oral Roberts. I think Ohio State's playing really well this year. I was able to see a couple of their games. They played in the Big Ten final. So I'm going to go with Ohio State here. So then Baylor or Ohio State. I'm going to say that Baylor's going to take that one. I just see them carrying momentum really well. And I just feel like they're going to win this southern region. So now let's move down to Illinois and Drexel. Illinois is playing really well. They did beat Ohio State to win their Big Ten championship. So, I'm going to say they're going to handle Drexel pretty well. Loyola Chicago, Georgia Tech. Loyola Chicago, Sister Jean is back for Loyola Chicago. And that's really special because it's a little Catholic school that just has a lot of grit. They made it somewhat far in the tournament a few years ago, and now she's back at 101 years old, battling all the odds to support her team in this crazy time. So I'm going to say that Loyola Chicago wins over Georgia Tech. And then we have Tennessee and Oregon State. Oregon State made history because they were projected to finish last in the Pac 12. They were the only team to be projected to finish last to come all the way back to finish first and win their tournament. So they're playing with a chip on their shoulder. They have something to prove. So I'm going to say that Oregon State upsets Tennessee with that one. Now we get down to Houston as the number 2 seed over Cleveland State. I think Houston's playing well. Megan Thee Stallion just won her 3 Grammys, so Houston, it has quite a little streak going. We're going to go with Houston. So as much as I want Loyola Chicago to go really far and Sister Jean to root her boys on to lots of victories, I just think that Illinois is a good team this year, and I have them advancing to the Sweet 16. And then, you know what? I'm going to say that Oregon State upsets Oklahoma State and makes it to the Sweet 16 because I just think that that is how it's going to happen. So then, Illinois or Houston, who's going to win that one? I do think Houston's going to take it. I just, like I was saying earlier, it's a wild card year that they're going to do well on. So then we have number 1 seed Baylor or number 2 seed Houston, both Texas teams. Houston's been very dominant this year. They have had 20 plus points for their margin of victory average, which is like crazy. But I just think that Baylor is going to be the stronger team. So I have Baylor going to the final. So, after all of that, we have Texas, Baylor, Texas showdown. I do think that Baylor is going to win the national championship. They have three players averaging double digits. They're led by Jared Butler, who was the Big 12 Player of the Year. Baylor is just a grounded team. They've only lost twice this year. Once was to Kansas, the other one was to Texas Tech. Like I was saying, Gonzaga might go all the way. You don't know. But I just feel like they didn't have an adversity to like make them go all the way, whereas Baylor has had those moments, and I just think that they are going to win it. So that is all. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.